Morning. Oh, it's not you. Yeah, I'm so used to taxi licensing. So I'm saying good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Before we start, can I just make a few announcements? So for the licensing subcommittee today on the 18th of the 12th, 2025, today's meeting is being filmed for live and subsequent broadcast by way of the Council's internet site. The images and sound recording may also be used for training purposes within the Council. Okay, got that then. So my name is Fazina, and I represent Victoria Ward, and I'll be chairing today's meeting. So I formally open the meeting for a licensing subcommittee today, and obviously the purpose of the meeting is to consider a review of the premise license for ship and pilot. So any apologies or any absences today? No, I don't think so, no. So any declarations of interest for members? No? Okay, so can we do some introductions first? I'll ask members to introduce themselves first, and then I'll ask officers, and then obviously the licence holder and any representatives and the authorities.
Good afternoon, I'm Councillor David Fairweather. I represent the Altarine Ward.
Good afternoon, I'm Louise Armstrong. I'm a solicitor for Newport City Council.
Hi, I'm Phil Roberts, Licensing Officer, presenting for licensing today.
Good afternoon, my name is Alistair Dealing. I'm the Licensing Manager for Newport City Council. I sit here before you as a responsible authority who's called the review for Ship and Pilot today. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Tania Sultana. I'm DPS and license holder of Ship and Pilot.
Can I ask, is that your representative? Yeah, if you'd like to introduce yourself, and if you'd like to, will you be doing the talking today?
I will, yes, I'm afraid, sorry. My name's Ewan McGregor, TLT, and I'm representing the licence holder.
Good morning, my name's Emily Major. I'm a Governance Officer, and this is my colleague Taylor Strange.
So we've also got some members online, and we've also got some people in chambers as well. Can I ask members online who are joining us if you'd like to introduce yourself as well?
Good afternoon, everybody. PC Williams from the Gwent Police Licensing Team.
Members in chambers, if you'd like to.
Chair, if it helps, I'm not proposing that either of the individuals will speak to the committee today.
Could you repeat that?
I'm not proposing that either of the individuals that sit behind me speak today.
Just a little bit more information. So generally the public seating areas are not filmed. However, by entering the meeting room and using the public seating area, you are consenting to being filmed and to the possible use of those images and sound recordings for webcasting and or training purposes. Please use your microphones to contribute to the meeting, and please remember to switch off the microphone when you have finished. Members dialing remotely, please only turn on your microphone when you wish to speak, and please remember to switch it off when you have finished. Thank you. Right. So, just to outline of today's procedure, first I'd invite the applicant to, well, we've done all the introductions. So the procedure is for the licensing officer will present the report, and members will be able to ask questions of the licensed officer to clarify any issues arising out of the report. Then the applicant will put their case forward and call any witnesses if those have been granted. Parties will then give evidence and any statements or questions. If there's any objectors or representatives shall also be allowed to put questions. And then members again will be able to ask questions of the representatives. Can I confirm, does everyone have all the paperwork? Yeah? Okay. Right. Yeah. Yes, yeah, there was some more information that was sent to us yesterday, so we have sight of those too. If we can begin then, I'll invite the licensing officer to present the report. That will be.
Hi all. So we convened here today to discuss a report to the Licensing Subcommittee, the 18th of December 2025. The subject of review of a premises licence under Section 51 of the Licensing Act 2003, Ship and Pilot 2021, Church Street, Newport. The consideration decision in respect of the review application under the Licensing Act 2003, in the Pilgwenny ward. An application for review of the above-named premises licence was made by Newport City Council Licensing Authority on the 29th of October 2025, on the basis that the premises is and was undermining the licensing objectives, namely the prevention of crime and disorder, public safety, and the prevention of public nuisance. On the 29th of October 2025, an application was submitted by Newport City Council Licensing Manager Alistair Dealing, acting in his capacity as a responsible authority for review of a premises licence under Section 51 of the Licensing Act 2003 for the Ship and Pilot, Church Street, Newport. The application was submitted following two separate occasions. The designated premises supervisor, the DPS, and or licence holder failed to provide support to Gwent Police when two serious incidents were reported to have occurred on or immediately outside the premises. The first occasion, a call was received by Gwent Police on the 3rd of July 2025, reporting a male inside the Ship and Pilot allegedly in possession of a knife. Officers attended and located a potential subject matching the description. The subject was stop-searched, no knife was found, no other individuals present were willing to engage with police officers, though it was noted by Gwent Police officers a member of the public had a nose injury and stated he had been punched in the face but refused to provide details of the location or the assailant. CCTV was requested by Gwent Police via the licence holder. It was reported that the CCTV had malfunctioned and no footage was available. The failure of providing CCTV clearly undermines the licensing objectives. The failure to provide CCTV has meant, despite clear criminality within the premises, the incident should not progress further by Gwent Police. The second occasion, on the 26th of October 2025, Gwent Police received a report from a member of the public regarding a serious disturbance outside the Ship and Pilot public house in Pill, Newport. The report indicated that approximately 6 to 8 individuals, both male and female, were engaged in a violent altercation, with allegations that some had sustained stab wounds. The caller further reported that persons involved were searching through recycling containers for glass bottles to use as weapons, resulting in smashed glass scattered across the area. It appeared that some individuals had been ejected from the premises prior to the altercation, which subsequently continued further along Church Street. Upon police attending the scene, officers observed a blood trail leading away from the premises towards Commercial Road. Subsequently, a male presenting himself at the Royal Gwent Hospital with injuries consistent with a stabbing. Officers attended the hospital and confirmed that the individual had sustained a significant wound to his right arm consistent with a slash or stab injury. The original call was logged under reference 49-2610-2025, received at 1:09 hours on the 26th of October 2025, with the location recorded as outside the Ship and Pilot, Pill, Newport. A copy of the review paperwork and supporting documents can be found in Appendix A of this report. The application was received by the Licensing Authority on the 29th of October 2025, and in accordance with Section 51(3)(a) of the Licensing Act 2003, a copy of the application was served on the holder of the premises licence and all responsible authorities. Following receipt of the application, the Licensing Authority advertised the application in accordance with the regulations of the Act, thereby inviting representations to be made by interested parties. Any representation in respect of this application made by the responsible authority or an interested party had to be received by the Licensing Authority by the 26th of November 2025. On the 3rd of November 2025, the Licensing Authority attended a meeting at the Civic Centre, Godfrey Road, Newport, with the premises licence holder, Tanya Sultana, following her request. The licensing holder was advised during the meeting that the reasons for the review of the premises licence and a continued failure to support Gwent Police by providing the requested CCTV recordings. It is noted, since receiving a warning letter from Gwent Police over the failure to provide CCTV footage and the consequence of such to the licence and review application by Newport City Council Licensing Authority for the same failures, the DPS licence holder has started to engage and provide CCTV. The investigated CID officer has been waiting for the footage to progress substantial investigation. So, licensable activities. The current premises licence holder is Tanya Sultana of the Ship and Pilot 2021 Church Street, Newport. Licensable activities authorised by the premises licence are the sale of alcohol, on sales only, provision of facilitating with dancing, provision of facilitating making music, karaoke, live music and recorded music. Times the licence authorised for carrying out licensable activity for sale of alcohol is Monday to Thursday inclusive, 6:30 a.m. till midnight, Friday and Saturday, 6:30 a.m. till 1 a.m, Sunday, 11 a.m. till 2300, and Good Friday, 12 till 22:30. Same can be seen within the report for provisions of facilities for dancing, provisions of facilities of making music, karaoke, performance of live music, and playing of recorded music. There are also additional times for Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, and New Year's Eve regulated entertainment. A copy of the premises licence can be found in Appendix B of this report. Representations. The Licensing Authority invited representations for responsible authorities and other persons to be submitted before midnight on the 26th of November 2025. The Licensing Authority received representation from Gwent Police on the 18th of November 2025, with further information provided on the 20th of November 2025. The representation relates to the licensing objectives of prevention of crime and disorder, prevention of public nuisance, and ensuring of public safety, and details include previous reported concerns at the premises. A copy of the representation by the police can be found in Appendix C of this report. The Licensing Authority received an additional 5 formal representations from members of the public in relation to this application. However, 2 representations have been omitted. The first, received on the 4th of November 2025 by post, was anonymous, and a second, received on the 6th of November 2025, was withdrawn by the person making the objection. Find below the representations made and dates submitted to the Licensing Authority. Representation number 1 was made by Mohammed Jazandaib. Representation received on the 4th of November 2025. A copy of the representation can be found in Appendix D of this report. Representation number 2, Ismat Ullah Shaku. Representation received on the 4th of November 2025. A copy of the representation can be found in Appendix E of this report. Representation number 3, Robert Oakley. Representation received 26th of November 2025. A copy of the representation can be found in Appendix F of this report. For the background and premises licence history. The Ship and Pilot Newport has historically been a public house predating the Licensing Act 2003, was first granted a licence under the 2003 Act on the 24th of June 2005. The premises licence has been transferred multiple times since its inception of the Licensing Act 2003. On the 13th of July 2022, an application to transfer the premises licence and vary the designated premises supervisor was submitted by Tanya Sultana. The licence was granted with immediate effect, naming Tanya Sultana as both licence holder and designated premises supervisor. A copy of the premises licence issued on the 13th of July 2022, licence number 22-01588, LAPVPT, can be found in Appendix B of this report. Find below historic complaints, incidents relating to the premises. Number 1, a complaint of fireworks on the 1st of March 2023. A licensing and police visit followed the complaint of youths setting off fireworks outside the premises. The licensee recalled the incident. They advised that the youths were not customers of the pub and were asked to leave the area, but would not. The police were called but did not attend. The officers in attendance were able to confirm that a log exists for the call. The licensee was advised that depending on the severity of the situation and the detail given by the licensee will dictate how quickly police can respond. Advice was given that in the future, the police should be called for incidents where the licensee is being or feels threatened, both verbally or physically. Correspondence attached as Appendix G of this report. Complaint 2, Prevention Team, 12th of July 2024. Licensing received information from Newport City Council Prevention and Connectors Team relating to antisocial behaviour, fighting and excessive noise around the area of the Ship and Pilot Pub, Public House, Church Street. During a telephone conversation, the resident confirmed that there were multiple issues causing major distress, some of which have been reported to Gwent Police. The complainant confirmed that no further action was required as they were no longer a resident in the area. Complaint attached as Appendix H of this report. Number 3, police visit and correspondence on the 14th of July 2024. Police visit conducted following issues between patrons of the Ship and Pilot and neighbouring venue. As a result of this, observations from PCSOs passed the Gwent Police Department of the smell of cannabis within the pub and bar area. PC 1689 Williams and PC Luke Dakin 2138 attended the pub in the DPS Tanya Sultana's absence on the 14th of July 2024 and noted observations of smells emitting from the upstairs flat. Find police correspondence attached as Appendix I of this report. Number 4, noise complaint received by a member of the public on the 26th of October 2024 and the 27th of October 2024. On the 31st of October 2024, a complaint was received by Newport City Council relating to various noise issues and allegations of antisocial behaviour at the premises, location at the Ship and Pilot Public House, excessive loud music being played on Saturday night, the 26th of the 10th, 2024, until past 2 a.m. On the Sunday and the 27th of the 10th, 2004, with alcohol and drugs being consumed outside after the closing time, which is 1 a.m. Information, noise and drug use outside the public house, alcohol being served after hours, 1 a.m, and excessively loud music being played until 2 a.m. on the Sunday morning. A visit was conducted on the 13th of August 2024 by licensing officers to discuss a previous issue relating to noise. The complaint was discussed and the steps the licence holder must take to ensure compliance. The purpose of the visit was to remind the licence holder of their responsibilities and to prevent further impact to local residents. It was relayed during the visit that further complaints issues may result in the licence being reviewed. A letter of advice concerning the above was sent on the 13th of November 2024. Find attached as Appendix J of this report. Number 5, noise complaint received by the resident on the 17th of June 2025, incident on the date of the 16th of June 2025. Complaint ref 25-06416 ABNDM. Environment and health information provided. The pub has a large speaker outside most of the days of the week. While I appreciate the pub will have a music outside, the volume and frequency are excessive. I live across the road and the music can be heard clearly above my TV when the windows are closed. The police were informed, no police log. Action taken. Chadley Phillips, CSEO, attended with James Holland, Environment and Health, following a report of noise disturbance. On visiting, we had a look at the smoking area where I saw several baggies on the floor. On checking them, there was clear evidence of white powdery residue in bags. Action by the Environmental Protection Team, advising the DPS via telephone that a further noise licensing warning would be issued in relation to the latest complaints. Any further issues would trigger a licensing review for prevention of public nuisance. Find attached as Appendix K of this report. Number 6. On the 19th of May 2025, the Environment and Health Team received an allegation that the Ship and Pilot Newport were renting out rooms and operating as an illegal HMO, house of multiple occupancy. Environment and Health records show that preliminary inquiries have been made regarding licensing the Ship and Pilot as a HMO. However, an application had not been proceeded with. Licensing Officer Claire Roberts, myself, attended the premises on the 4th of June 2025 at 12:45 p.m. I knocked on the side door, white PVC, and a gentleman answered. He was asked if Tanya was available. He responded, no, she runs the pub. When asked if he lived at the property, he answered he does with 2 other people. When asked if either were family, he said no, he doesn't know them. When asked his name, he replied his name, which has been redacted for the record. The licence holder, Tanya Sultana, was not on site at the pub, and the pub was closed. The information was forwarded to the Environment and Health team to assist with their investigation into a possible illegal HMO. The premises is located within a residential area adjacent to a commercial business located in Mill Parade, Newport. The location of the premises and photos can be found in Appendix L of this report. The legal consideration, guidance and policy consideration. The decision must be taken following consideration of the representation received with a view to promote the licensing objectives, which are the prevention of crime and disorder, public safety, prevention of public nuisance, protection of children from harm. In each case, the subcommittee may make the following determination: to modify the conditions of the premises licence, to exclude a licensable activity from scope of the premises licence, to remove the designated premises supervisor from the licence, to suspend the premises licence for a period not exceeding 3 months, to revoke the premises licence, and to take no action in respect of the premises licence. All decisions taken by a subcommittee must be within legal power of the Council and its committees, comply with the procedural agreement imposed by law, be undertaken in accordance with procedural requirements imposed by Council, be fully and properly informed, be properly motivated, to be taken in regards to Council's fiduciary duty to its taxpayers and reasonable proper in circumstances. Section 5 is the guidance in regards to the Section 182 Licensing Act, recently revised, which should assist members. So I can then conclude that as the end of the report. Just to state that additional information has been provided by solicitors to the defence. This has been circulated to members of the committee prior to this hearing. This was provided by the solicitor on the 16th of December 2025 by Mr. Ewan McGregor of TLT Solicitors on behalf of his client Tanya Sultana. They should not be considered valid, so this information should not be considered valid representation. The letters were submitted outside the statutory 28-day consultation period. The information provided has not been verified by the licensing authority and may be considered further vexatious or repetitive in nature. It is the responsibility of the licensing committee to determine whether they wish to consider the information provided. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Members, any questions for the licensing officer? Councillor Harris? No? Thank you. I now invite the police or the applicant.
It's actually myself as the first applicant.
The first applicant, yeah. Yeah, the first applicant to put their case forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair, Licensing Committee, thank you for giving me this opportunity to present the case today. Just before I start presenting, there's 2 points I would like to make. Firstly, in regard to this review, the licensing authority, as the responsible authority, has submitted this, but has been actively working with Gwent Police regarding this review, and one could be said that it could be a joint review between both the licensing authority acting as a responsible authority and also Gwent Police on this matter. I'd also like to point out at this early stage, and I will come in later into my submissions, the thanks of the work I've undertaken with TLT regarding a number of meetings that have taken place regarding mitigating the processes today. But if I do start with why we're here today, I'm here to outline serious concerns regarding the operation of the shipping pilot in Peel, Newport, and the conduct of this premises licence and the designated premise supervisor, who in this case are the same person. These concerns relate to failures to uphold the licensing objectives under the Licensing Act 2003, specifically the prevention of crime disorder and the public safety. The majority relates to that regards poor management at the premises, with the DPS, either not willing to promote those 4 licensing objectives, or just simply burying her head in the sand when matters arise. This is not the only premises the DPS has managed previously, and the same attitude has been found at previous bars, including Tanya's bars in the city centre. For example, second-floor windows on that premises blew out, and she continued to trade without any consideration of health and safety. On that particular premises, there were 60 over capacity. I make those points just in regard to the management style rather than actually the individual premises. Before I go into detail of the case, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the impact these incidents have had on the local community. Residents of Peel have the right to feel safe, and the licensing authority recognises that these events have caused significant concerns and also distress, as highlighted in the representatives submitted by local residents. It is also noted that some representations have been withdrawn because residents feel they would not feel safe if they spoke out. This is deeply concerning and demonstrates some level of fear and unease within that community. But it's also important to stipulate that residents have also stipulated that the licence should not necessarily be revoked, but calls to ensure the premises in principle promotes those 4 licensing objectives. Questions regarding why this premises has a terminal hour of 1 AM will clearly be discussed in this meeting. Though in principle, if a premises does operate as kind of a traditional pub, along with that strong management in a residential area, then clearly a 1 AM licence may be warranted and appropriate. However, the evidence that will be presented to the committee today by the licensing authority, including CCTV footage from Gwent Police, will clearly show customers causing public nuisance at times. This seems not to be simply a one-off in line with residents' complaints and historic matters. The kind of behaviour is not appropriate for a heavy residential area. This is, of course, not the city centre, where there is established controls and infrastructures to manage the nighttime economy and protect residents. In Peel, the impact on local people is direct and can be significant, and the licensing committee, I'd ask respectfully to take into account when considering the future of the premises licence. While we've worked closely with Gwent Police and monitored the situation, it's clear that decisive action should have been taken earlier to prevent further harm. We take responsibility seriously, and today's review is part of this commitment to restore confidence and ensure public safety. The Licensing Act 2003 places clear statutory duties on all licence holders and DPSs to prevent the 4 licensing objectives. The licensing officer has already mentioned those 4 objectives in his report. These objectives are fundamentally to the safe and responsible operation of the licensed premises. Sadly, it's often that licensing authority experience operators of poorly managed premises forgetting about that legal duty to promote licensing objectives, and often will say, well, actually, those aren't attached to my licence conditions. When the 4 licensing objectives are undermined, the consequences can be severe, not only for those directly involved, but for that of the wider community. Unfortunately, in this case, we have evidence of repeated failures that has resulted in serious incidents, including that of a violent disorder and an allegation of a knife crime. The question is, for the licensing authority acting as a responsible authority, is what is next if the DPS does not get hold of things and the premises in order. I know the licensing holder will clearly try to undermine the following statement I'm going to make, but what does happen if a local resident gets disturbed further and tries to deal with these matters in their own way? Working in the licensing environmental health for over 20 years and being pro-enforcement officer at times, I've seen the detrimental effect it has on the public of being over-sensitised by being disturbed by a premises, and the resident and the significant effects that can have on that person. But also through this experience, I do have to stipulate that those residents that live next to a pub that historically operated for 100 years or so have to also understand there will of course be some disturbance from public houses, from people leaving the premises in a jolly state. What I'm trying to highlight to the committee here is it's about, clearly, about balance. And it's important that a licence on a premises both balances the residents' needs, the 4 licensing objectives, but also, just as importantly, the business itself. The licensing authority clearly called this review in regard to the incident that took, 2 incidents that took place. Firstly, the incident on the 3rd of July 2025, and you've heard from the licensing officer's report the allegation of a knife in the premises and the fact that CCTV requested by Gwent Police wasn't sent to the police. And in fact, it was informed by the licence holder that it malfunctioned and there was no footage. Clearly, the ability to provide CCTV is not just simply a courtesy. It's important that DPS's licence holders provide CCTV, even though it's not featured on their licence premises, to comply with those 4 important licensing objectives. Clearly, CCTV would have been a crucial tool for the police, or CID in this case, to deal with this matter, not only to assist the person who made the complaint, but also the licensed premises itself. We then come to a further incident only 4 months later, approximately 4 months later. Again, a similar kind of incident where there's disorder or alleged disorder at the premises. The second incident is clearly more concerning, as it, unlike the first incident of an allegation of a knife, members of the public who are drinking in the premises then leave the venue, and one is unfortunately stabbed. You'll probably hear further from Gwent Police regarding this, and they have CCTV that can be shown for the committee to view that matter. The repeat failures at the premises, and again, when that has occurred, again, CCTV was requested from the licence holder, stroke DPS, and it took Gwent Police significant amounts of time to obtain that CCTV from the licence holder. A number of emails were sent back, and clearly time is very important when dealing with criminal matters to make sure that both the members of the public, those who are involved in that case are brought to justice, but also to protect members of staff at the licensed premises and the premises licence. The repeated failure at the premises have had a direct and serious impact on Gwent Police's ability to clearly investigate those violent crimes. These failings have undermined public confidence, placed customers and, as I said, the wider community at risk, and can just jeopardise the safety of staff working within that premises. The licensing objectives are very clear. Crime and disorder must be prevented. Public safety must be protected. In both these cases, both objectives have, I feel, have been seriously compromised. It appears that the management may have prioritised protecting regular customers over maybe protecting those fundamental objectives. These are 2 serious, clear, one allegation and one very serious incident, combined with the historic issues that have been outlined in the licensing officer's report, do paint a concerning picture of a persistent non-compliance. I won't go through the historic matters again, because you've heard those in quite detail from the licensing officer, but these matters are the antisocial behaviour in July 24, a police visit in July 24, noise after hours and drinking after hours in October 24, noise complaint in June 25, a legal HMO that's taken place in the premises, all indicate to the licensing authority, acting as a responsible authority, as poor management throughout the premises. We have also received representation from local residents, and as you heard from the licensing officer's report, they can be found within the bundle. some of which have expressed fear and even withdrawn their representation because they do not feel safe. As the licensing authority acting as a responsible authority, we must state that these matters collectively demonstrate the premises has failed to uphold the licensing objectives. This responsibility falls squarely on the premises licence holder and the designated premise supervisor, who are the same. The evidence combined and the community concerned strongly supports the needs for decisive action by the committee regarding the premises licence. Given the seriousness of the incidents and the repeated failure to comply with the licence conditions, this clearly warrants a premises licensing review under Section 51 of the Licensing Act 23. The licensing holder must take control of the premises and work proactively with responsible authorities, including that of Gwent Police, rather than hoping these issues will resolve themselves. If the premises continues to operate as it has, there is significant risk of further serious incidents potentially happening at that venue and ongoing disruption at the local area. In the opinion of the licensing authority, this would clearly undermine the licensing objection, what could lead to a recommendation or revocation. After consultation with Gwent Police, with PC Williams, who's on the call, both responsible authorities agree that the licence should have been revoked or at least suspended. However, and I say that quite clearly, however, following very proactive discussions with the licence holder's solicitor on the 11th of the 12th, 25, it may be possible to mitigate these concerns through, in the opinion of the licensing authority, the reduction of the hours and imposing additional conditions, as the current conditions on the premises licence for a 1 o'clock licence are simply not sufficient to uphold the licensing objectives in the opinion of the licensing authority. I'd like to state that the conditions that were proposed by myself and PC Williams, as with these processes, things go back and forth between ourselves and the solicitors. I think there were some really proactive conversations regarding conditions. We're not a million miles away regarding certain conditions, but there are things that are not agreed, and this relates to the hours. I would be happy either to go through the conditions with the committee now, or you might want to hear the representation of Gwent Police first, as these are joint conditions, and then the conditions could be read to the committee. I'd leave that with you, but clearly I would like to submit the conditions that have been proposed to the licence holder at some point. If that's now, you want to hear those, or after the police's submissions, or even after the submissions of the licence holder, then I'd be happy to inform the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Daly. I think we'll hear from the police first, and yeah, of course. I was going to go on to that anyway.
Okay. Thank you,
because
Chair.
the representative
Thank
also
you.
will.
From what I can see in the report, this is something that's taken place over a recent period, a recent 12-month period. All the events seem to be fall within that. Is it Miss Sultana? Yes. How long has Miss Sultana been the publican at these premises?
Licensing officer will be able to inform you of that. I think it's a 16th month.
Yeah, so within the report, we have a quick look here for you.
I think it's July 2022.
There you go. Oh, cheers, thank you.
So, July 2022, and there's been nothing else from that period up until the last 12 months have been anything noted of concern with regards to these premises. It's just been these incidents in the last 12 months, despite the fact that she's been there since 2022.
That's correct, yes.
You, Councillor Harris, do you have any questions? No? Okay. So, first of all, the representative, do you have any questions for Mr. Daling?
No, I don't. I have some observations. Excuse me. I have some observations on what's been said, but I'll deal with that when my opportunity comes.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So can I invite the police, please, to put your case forward? Officer Williams, yeah? Thank you.
Good afternoon. Yeah, good afternoon, Chair, councillors and everybody. I'm here before you today to present Gwent Police evidence in support of the review of the premises licence for the ship and pilot Pill Newport. My submission will be confined to the facts which demonstrate conduct of undermining the licensing objectives. The evidence shows three clear problems: a direct link to violent disorder, a failure to cooperate with police, and ongoing concerns regarding the use of illegal drugs in or just above the premises. The chronology of issues presented to Gwent Police are as follows. As documented in the appendix, page 47 of the bundle, on the 19th of June 2024, community support officers attended following a noise complaint. A written account which you have notes that during previous visits inside the pub, there was also a heavy smell of cannabis. In response to the email from the CSOs, police licensing officers visited on the 4th of July 2024. A letter was then produced after the visit outlining the reason for the visit to the premises licence holder, Tanya Sultana. This is at page 59 to 60 of the bundle, as well as suggestions on how to further promote the licensing objectives and also protect the premises. This letter also noted that upon the two licensing officers, myself, PC 1689 Williams, and PC 2138 Dakin, visiting the premises, we both separately noted a very heavy smell of cannabis, a smell we both know very well through our extensive dealings with persons in possession of the drug, and also through attending numerous cannabis cultivations in our service. The smell was obvious to both officers that it was emanating from directly above the premises in what appeared to be potentially living accommodation. The first serious incident reported this year, so separate to the drugs concerns, earlier this year on the 3rd of July 2025, on bundle page 87, the call was received from staff on duty initially from the premises at 21:28 p.m. Police attended the premises to investigate a report of a suspected knife incident. A separate call was received by police control room less than a minute later. This is shown on page 91, from a separate person outlining a similar call of a male with a suspected knife in the premises. Considering there were two separate calls from the same premises mentioning a knife incident taking place, in terms of a risk assessment and what is taking place, this makes it a lot more certain that an event is actually taking place at the time, as there is multiple separate reports from the same location less than a minute apart of a knife incident. A large number of officers attended the premises within minutes, including firearm units, taser-trained officers, and this was all due to the risk assessment conducted by the covering inspector in the control room. Upon arrival, and outlined in the incident logs, one male was searched with no knife located upon the stop search. Staff at the time could not access CCTV to show officers what had happened. As such, no potential arrests or further inquiries could be made, and no persons present, including staff, could offer any formal statement outlining what happened at the time. CCTV was to be made available the following day. Upon officers attending, officers were told that the CCTV system was not working. As such, there were no further lines of inquiry for Gwent Police to conduct to identify if there was a knife involved and to prove or disprove any offences taking place. This part of my submission, Chair, respectfully, I would please ask is held in a private context, as it's part of a live ongoing investigation.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. So in that case, I'll ask the members in the who are not in part of the case, if you can leave the chambers, please. Thank you. Yes, you will. So this has not been recorded either, is it? So for the benefit... Oh. Meeting is being filmed for live and subsequent broadcast. by way of council's internet site. The images and sound recording may also be used for training purposes within the council. Generally, the public seating areas are not filmed. However, by entering the meeting room and using the public seating area, you are consenting to being filmed and to the possible use of those images and sound recordings for webcasting and or training purposes. Again, can you please use your microphones when speaking? Thank you. Can I ask also, obviously, the representative, if you have any questions for the police?
Sorry, Chair, I do still have a bit more to add. If that's
sorry, I thought you'd finished.
No, it's only because I obviously I knew that it was a recorded session, and I obviously just wanted to give a chance for the other parties to come in before I finished.
Okay. Okay, you carry on.
Thank you very much. In summary, the factual chronology from Gwent Police for the committee is, number one, there was concerns about illegal drug use on or above the premises, which was formally raised. 2, a previous failure to provide CCTV to police investigating a serious reported incident. And 3, CCTV evidence proves that patrons who later engaged in suspected serious violent disorder in a residential area who had just left the premises. Management's delayed provision of this footage further hindered the investigation. This is a clear and escalating pattern. Premises has demonstrated failures in its day-to-day management regarding drugs. A failure to assist in crime prevention and its operations have now been directly linked through its own CCTV to serious violence occurring immediately after dispersal. This conduct undermines the crime and disorder and public safety licensing objectives. Chair, members of the committee, before I conclude, I must bring to the committee's attention a further demonstration of the premises licence holder's approach to licensing and its responsibilities. Despite being the subject of this review today, prompted by crime, disorder and resident complaints, the premises holder had submitted a late TUN just yesterday. The applicant before the premises licence holder sent an application for licensing hours until 3 AM on New Year's Day. From a police perspective, this time is at best profoundly ill-considered. It demonstrates a clear failure to acknowledge today all the valid concerns of local residents regarding noise and antisocial behaviour linked to the premises. Seek permission for even later trading, particularly on a night synonymous with increased alcohol consumption and policing demand, while simultaneously defending against evidence of poor management and crime linkage, shows a fundamental disregard for the licensing objectives of crime and disorder and prevention of public nuisance. This action also underscores the lack of responsible management we have evidenced today. It confirms that without robust conditions or intervention from this committee, the pattern of problems associated with this premises will continue. Gwent Police also agree with the conditions proposed by Newport Council licensing team and also acting in their position of a responsible authority, which Gwent Police believe will enable the premises to promote the 4 licensing objectives. We submit that the evidence warrants serious consideration. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Officer Williams. So, members, any questions? Yeah, Councillor Harris. Was there a... Officer Williams, I think this is a question for you because obviously you've viewed the CCTV properly. Was there a child being taken out of the premises?
From what I can see, there isn't any children present in the CCTV.
No. I didn't actually notice that. I don't know if any of the officers, if you've...
Sorry, Chair, I'm not hearing any of the questions from the other committee members.
Councillor Harris, can you put your microphone on when you speak? Just bring it a bit closer. Okay. I think, yeah, this is a discussion for when there's no members of public present. Maybe we can, discuss that in deliberations or something. So, no other questions from members? Licence holder representative, if you'd like to, Mr. McGregor. Any questions for the police?
I just have one question. about the point that was made right at the end by Mr. Williams in relation to the temporary event notice application that was submitted, and which he was trying to suggest just demonstrates a failure to acknowledge what has happened at the pub. Mr. Williams, can you just turn to page 36 of the agenda?
Yes.
Right. And so the temporary event notice was actually submitted in error, because if you look at the hours for the sale of alcohol, the pub is actually permitted to sell alcohol on New Year's Eve from 11 in the morning on New Year's Eve through to 11 at night on New Year's Day. So actually the hours that had been requested are already permitted under the licence.
Just to confirm, the hours requested on the late temporary event was until 3 in the morning?
I understand that, but the hours that were requested in the 10 are already permitted on the licence.
In the hours of 11 and 11 the following day?
Yes. 11 in the morning on New Year's Eve to 11 at night on New Year's Day.
But respectfully, she was asking until 3 in the morning on New Year's Day.
I understand that, but the hours that were being requested are already permitted under the licence.
I understand your point.
Right. And can you just accept that it's right?
Yeah, judging by what point 2 states, that would be correct, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, no other questions for the police? Mr. McGregor? No? Okay. So, no other questions from members. So I invite you to respond or put your case forward, Mr. McGregor. Whenever you're ready.
There is a bit that I need to respond to, and I need to set this all in some context. So I apologise in advance if I'm going to be a little bit longer than I think the 10 minutes that I'm allotted. I just wanted to start by saying that there is guidance that says that additional representations which do not amount to an amplification of the original representation may not be made at the hearing. And some of the observations and comments that have been made both by Mr. Dealing and by the police, I think, go a little beyond what they've set out in the review application. So I just want to lay that marker down now, and your legal advisor will no doubt pick that up. But can I start by just thanking Mr. Dealing was kind enough to thank my firm and my colleague Mr. Phipps for the support and assistance that he has provided in getting us to where we are today. And my understanding of the position is that the authority who brought the review are no longer seeking a suspension of the licence, but are seeking new conditions to be imposed on the licence, and that the hours for the provision of licensable activities are curtailed. Whilst we are in very broad agreement on the conditions, we are a little apart on the hours, and I'll come to that later. I did send over to your licensing officer today, and I apologise it was late in the day, because Mr. Dealing sent to me yesterday a schedule of proposed conditions. I spoke to my client about whether or not they were acceptable, and they are to a large degree agreed, but there are some changes. I don't know if those have been distributed to committee members.
Unfortunately, I didn't have the opportunity to circulate this morning. However, I have printed copies available.
That's fine.
To all licensed members.
Okay.
And I hand them out now.
And it may be that at the end of my submissions we can work our way through these. I think Mr. Dealing and also the police said that perhaps the appropriate time for these to be discussed is at the end of my submissions. I'm going to address my comments, Chair, to you. I don't mean to be rude to the two councillors that sit behind me. It's just a little bit awkward. And so there's no discourtesy to you at all. Tanya Sultana is, as you know, the licence holder. She is the DPS. and she has been the premises licence holder there since June or July 2022. This is her sole source of income, and she employs 4 members of the local community at the pub, 2 full-time members of staff and 2 part-time members of staff. It is a small pub, it is a local community pub, and it is a local community hub. My colleague Mr Phipps sent some submissions to your officer, and I'm presuming that those have been circulated to members.
That's correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not going to read the submissions, but I am going to follow the flow of the submissions. So in the interest really of saving time, but I don't want to sell Tanya short. We have provided some comments from customers, and your officer rightly said they aren't representations. I fully accept that they're not representations, but it is evidence in support of the premises, and you're perfectly entitled to take those into account. And the 2, you'll have read them, and the 2 comments that I would raise from those are these. This is one of the few remaining community pubs in Pill. And another comment: I cannot imagine being unable to visit the Ship and Pilot because it maintains strong links to my old friends. I do want to set what has been said to you by Mr Dealing and by the police in some context, because I do not want you to think that the picture that has been painted thus far correctly reflects the reality. And there are some things that have been said that I'm afraid we do not agree with and we dispute. The review was prompted by the incident on the 26th of October, and you have seen the CCTV that has been provided. The CCTV that was being shown by the police was all provided by the pub, and I will come back to that shortly. Insofar as the incident on the 3rd of July, and that's referred to in the review application that's been submitted, there is an allegation that there was a stabbing at the premises, but that overstates the position, because the review application at page 31 says that no knife was found, and it is also important to note there is a suggestion that my client is uncooperative, or that the pub itself is uncooperative with the authorities. I'm afraid that again overstates the position, because this incident was called into the police by a member of staff at the pub. Insofar as the incident on the 26th of October is concerned, and that really is the one that has led us here to today, can I just start by making an apology on behalf of my client for what has happened, and that apology is also in the submissions of Mr Phipps, which was sent to you on Monday. The requirement under the licence is that the pub is cleared of customers by 1:30 a.m. It was on a Saturday night going into a Sunday morning, and a requirement that the pub is cleared of customers by 1:30 a.m. That did not happen. We apologise for that. But there is no evidence, or I don't think any suggestion in what has been produced to you, that the pub was selling alcohol after its permitted hours, being 1 o'clock in the morning. But as a consequence of the action that has been taken, my client has reminded her staff of their requirements to ensure that the pub is cleared of customers 30 minutes after the end of licensable activities. And licensable activities currently end at midnight, Monday to Thursday, and 1 o'clock on Friday and Saturday. Insofar as the lack of cooperation from the pub is concerned, can I just make a number of points? You have been told that insofar as the incident in July is concerned, that we refuse to provide, or my clients refused to provide CCTV. Tanya's position is that she was not asked to provide CCTV on that occasion, and that CCTV is still available if the police want it. The second point, is that the incident in June was, of course, called in by my client, and we haven't absolved ourselves of our responsibilities to call in incidents as and when they happen. Insofar as the incident in October is concerned, the licence holder met with officers, relevant officers, on the day immediately following that incident, on the Sunday, and met straight away when the request for CCTV. CCTV, as you will have seen, was provided, and there is also a suggestion that there was a resistance or a delay in providing the CCTV. And what has happened was this, is that following the meeting on the Sunday the 26th of October, South Wales, Gwent Police, sent a link to my client for the CCTV that you have seen. CCTV was uploaded and sent to the police on the Monday morning. What my client didn't realise is that you cannot reuse the link that has been provided to you by the police, so that when she went back to the link to upload further CCTV, she was unable to use that link. And so further requests were made of the police, and those requests and those links are contained in the documents that we've provided to you. And those were provided and CCTV sent back to the police on the 27th of October, the 28th of October, and then on the 4th of November. And insofar as the CCTV that was provided on the 27th and 28th of October is concerned, that was before the review was commenced. Now, we have provided the CCTV. If the police require more CCTV, then I'm sure if my client still has that CCTV, then it will be provided. But there has never been any sense or intention to obstruct the police in their investigations insofar as the incident of the 26th of October is concerned. There is no current CCTV condition on the licence. That, of course, does not mean that operators shouldn't, as a matter of good practice, install CCTV. There are currently 8 cameras in the premises, both within the premises and also outside, and a lot of the footage you saw was on the side street down the side of the pub. It is the intention to install a further 4 cameras. Those have been ordered, and regardless of the outcome of today's hearing, the CCTV will be installed. But there has been no breach of a CCTV condition that would undermine the licensing objectives. And then if you look at page 46 of the report, the police indicate that the DPS has engaged with the police. Now, there are times, and you may have seen it in your roles as licensing committee members, where a review is brought and the operator simply sticks their head in the sand and they do not grasp the nettle. That has not happened in this occasion. There has been compliance with the request to provide CCTV. My client has instructed, and I don't say this with any sense of aggrandizement, proper professional legal advice, has sought proper professional legal advice. She has received the appropriate advice, and Mr. Dealing, again, as I say, has been kind enough to thank my colleague, Mr. Phipps, for the assistance that he has provided in getting us to where we are today. So she has simply not avoided addressing these particular issues. There are other matters that are raised in the papers and which you have been referred to during the course of the submissions from both the licensing officer and the police. And I'm going to address these briefly. If you want me to add more meat onto these bones, then I'm more than happy to do so. Insofar as the HMO is concerned, that has no part to play in the licensing objectives. And when we were engaging with Mr. Dealing at the outset in trying to agree new conditions, there was a condition proposed in relation to the HMO, but that has now been withdrawn. The application for for the HMO will be submitted shortly. But there are residents who live above the pub, and the references to cannabis, there have been a number of references to cannabis, and in the police reports that indicates that was coming from the flats upstairs. Once it was identified which of the tenants living above the pub was smoking cannabis, they were asked to leave, and they left within a week. So that issue, again, my client has grasped that particular nettle, and that tenant has left. Insofar as the fireworks in 2023 are concerned, again, that matter was called in by my client. It was not associated with the pub. It was near the pub, but it was not as a consequence of people who had been in the pub. Insofar as the speakers or the noise that has been generated from the pub and the speakers outside the pub, those are not speakers that are put there by the pub. Those are speakers that were being played, as I understand it, by a member of the local community at a volume that was clearly too loud. But we have agreed to a condition that no external speakers will be placed on the premises. They're not on the premises at the moment, but it just gives you a little bit more power to ensure that that does not happen. Now, you have a range of powers, and that appears at page 22 of the report. I just want to take you very quickly to the guidance, and these are contained in Mr. Phipps's submissions that were provided to you. The authority's determination, this is paragraph 9.43 of the national guidance, the authority's determination should be evidence-based, justified as being appropriate for the promotion of the licensing objectives and proportionate to what it is intended to achieve. And then at paragraph 11.20, licensing authorities should, so far as possible, seek to establish the causal causes of the concerns that the representations identify. And the remedial action should be generally directed at those causes and should always be no more than appropriate and proportionate response to that. And there is one other part of the national guidance which is not in Mr. Phipps's submissions, but this is at paragraph 11.23 of the recently revised national guidance, November 2025. It will always be important that any detrimental financial impact that may result from a licensing authority's decision is appropriate and proportionate to the promotion of the licensing objectives. So you are perfectly entitled to consider the detrimental financial impact that your decision will have on my clients. Just finally, insofar as the residents, there are 3 residents who have made representations to the committee. Only one resident has been in contact with the pub over the course of the last year about issues that there are. But at page 56, and this comes on to something that I'm going to say in relation to the proposed hours. At page 56, there's a representation from a Mr. Oakley, and he says that Sunday to Thursday, where the terminal hour is 12 midnight, there are usually no disturbances originating from the pub, but Fridays and Saturday nights have been quite unruly. I don't accept that they have been unruly, but it goes to the point I'm going to make about hours. My understanding is, of course, that the police are no longer seeking a suspension of the licence, but asking for the conditions on the licence to be replaced with those that have now been circulated. And I'm pleased to say that almost in their entirety they can be agreed. Save that, the local authority have asked for the hours to be brought back to 11:30, with persons leaving the premises by midnight. And we are asking that a proportionate response to the review proceedings that have been brought is that the terminal hour be 12 midnight, and that would then make the terminal hour consistent throughout the week, Monday through to Saturday. The Sunday hours, I think, are a little bit shorter, but that the licensing hours be brought back to midnight, and persons off the premises by 12:30. That's at the proposed condition 1. At condition 4, I've changed the reference. It's not St Martin Street, it's St Michael Street. At condition 5, there is a request that a personal licence holder be on the premises at all times from 7 p.m. Until midnight. And we have added in the words, and these mirror words that are contained at proposed condition 3, which my client is happy with. This condition should operate for a 3-month period after the last date of the appeal. And the reason for that is that there is no statutory obligation for a personal licence holder to be on the premises at any time the licensable activities are being provided. But as a short-term measure, and to address the concerns that have been raised, my client is happy to offer the condition as set out at condition 5. I'm hoping you've got colour copies of the... You do, thank you. At condition 6, all regulated entertainment, the licensing authority have requested concludes at 11, and we have requested that it concludes at 12 midnight in line with the term allowed for the proposed provision of licensable activities. I have deleted condition 8, which I think is simply a repetition of condition 7. At condition 11, my client's happy to provide details of failures of the CCTV as soon as practicable, but I think we just need to agree who is contacted, because I wouldn't want any contact between my client and the police and or the licensing authority to fall through the cracks. And then I think almost all of the other conditions are agreed, and I have deleted condition 29, because 29, I think, which is ensuring reasonable measures taken to ensure that customers keep noise down, etc., are covered by conditions 20, 22 and 23. And if I've got that wrong, then I'm prepared to be corrected, but it just seems to me that it's a duplication of other conditions that are contained elsewhere in the proposal. And then I've just noticed one other small change at condition 20, where I've added in the word public nuisance, because with licensing you are concerned with public nuisance and not simply nuisance, and the word, just adding in the word nuisance, extends my client's obligations under the licensing regime. So I apologise for being, or you may not need the apology, but I've tried to be as concise as I possibly can in what I've said to you as a committee, and focusing on what the issues are. But I think where we have got to is that there is a proposed schedule of conditions, and I've just taken you through that, and that there is a disparity in the hours that are being requested from the licensing officer and from myself, which amounts to 30 minutes. But the proposal that we have put to you is a proportionate response to what has happened. I've tried to set some of what has been said in some balance. I know I have an opportunity to sum up at the end, but at the moment that's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McGregor. Any questions from members for the licence holder? Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. I looked through this a bit briefly, of course, but I think we are asking a lot, really, in putting forward these proposals, or these rules, if you like. And I think that the amendments that have been made are reasonable and fair. Let's not forget that this is a public house that's in a street. You know, if you buy a house in a street that has a pub, you expect some disruption, in the same way that if you buy a house next to a park with its children, you expect some disruption. So I think we have to be reasonable with them, and I would suggest that those amendments made by the applicant are fine by me.
Thank you. Thank you for your input, Councillor Fairweather. Councillor Harris, anything from you? All right, thank you. Anything else from? I don't think the police have anything to say. So before we finish, if anyone's got any closing statements, you could, I can, afford you 5 or 10 minutes to do that, and then we will actually.
If I may put a closing statement in.
Yes, yeah.
Thank you very much. I'll be as brief as possible. As highlighted by myself as a licensing manager and Gwent Police, there are concerns regarding the licensed premises. This is in a highly residential area. It is noted that within my submission, it's all about balance, making sure that the premises can operate alongside those local residents. You'll see from the local residents there are some concerns about that nature, and hence why we've come to the kind of conclusion regarding the terms and conditions that are probably required to be attached to this licence to ensure those 4 licensing objectives are upheld. Clearly there is disparity regarding hours. I will highlight the point again in my final word of submission. This is clearly a residential area. Licensing activities concluding at 11:30 means people leaving at 12, so there's people at 12 o'clock leaving the premises. People will hang around in areas. Allowing those hours till 12 o'clock, even though it's an extra half an hour, will mean that members of the public, or local residents, could be affected by the licensed premises. I will highlight the management, in the opinion of the licensing authority, could be better. The conditions strengthened and the hours suggested by the licensing authority, we feel that the 4 licensing objectives then could be upheld. That concludes my submission. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Dearling. So if you all, if you'd like, thank you very much. Yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry. Yes, of course you have. To apologise.
I promise you I will be brief. It's the laughter from somebody who's heard a lawyer say that before. This is a small pub. It's a community pub. It's a community hub. And I'm not going to repeat anything that I've said already around that. And you are, of course, entitled to take into account any financial detriments that may impact where the action is perhaps disproportionate to what has happened. But I'm going to read, I know I said I wasn't going to read Mr. Phipps' submissions, but this will take me 2 minutes. Where there has been an attempt to work towards a solution, irrespective of any discussion around whether the premises licence holder was initially slated to grasp the nettle, any action taken should not be punitive. It should, we suggest, seek to address the cause of the issues, in this case ensuring staff and management closely control customers, ensure that behaviours and occupation of outside areas is carefully and sensitively managed. Conditions modernising the licence and a modest reduction in the hours of operation, which we have suggested, to take account of the residential proximity are appropriate, proportionate and right in all of the circumstances of this case. And so I would ask you to follow the revised conditions that I've circulated and which I took you through probably 5 or 10 minutes ago. And I hope I've been true to being brief. I'll be told by Councillor if I haven't been.
Thank you, Mr. McGregor. With everything, all of that, then I think there's nothing else. If there's no matters further to be resolved, I will ask all parties to leave so that we can deliberate. And just for the benefit of the recording, once everyone has left, we will actually stop the recording.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Recording again now. Thank you very much for coming back in. We've reached a decision, and our solicitor lawyer will read out the decision for you for the premises, the ship and pilot. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So the panel have decided to agree the proposed conditions with the condition amendments being as follows. In regards to condition 1, the licensing hours brought back to 12, with persons off the premises at 12:30. This is to be applied across all holidays as well, so all holiday hours will be brought in line with that. In regards to condition 4, the panel are happy to amend to St Michael's Street, and they are happy that this was an error in the submission. In regards to condition 5, there must be a personal licence holder at the premises at all times from 7 till midnight. This condition should operate for a 6-month period after the last date of the appeal. In regards to condition 6, it is agreed that the regulated entertainment provision should conclude at midnight. In relation to condition 8, it is agreed that this is to be removed. In relation to condition 11, there needs to be clarity on who the licence holder should be notifying. Contact details will be provided in the draft conditions that will be sent out within the notice. So there shall be details in there to make it clear as to who the licence holder is to report to for the avoidance of any doubt. In regards to condition 20, the committee are happy to add the word public as amended already. And in regards to clause 29, they are happy for this to be removed as a duplication. All the proposed clauses will be fully drafted and provided within the decision notice. This will be sent out within 5 working days. Any appeal will need to be submitted to the Magistrates' Court within 21 days of this hearing, and details of the appeal will be contained within the decision notice for you.
Can I just say thank you to you as a committee? We are, 5 days away from Christmas, and to bring you all together, it is much appreciated. And take note of the comments that you've made and for the assistance, in particular to Mr. Dealing and also your licensing officer that we've had from both of them in the run-up to today's hearing. It's been much appreciated.
Thank you very much for attending. So as you've heard, all the information will be in the decision. I can actually say that the meeting is now closed.